Now, the KwaZulu-Natal floods have displaced thousands of people, ravaged parts of the province, destroying infrastructure and claiming over 300 lives. The province from now trying to pick up the pieces. But moving forward, what can government do differently with this disaster management? One researcher writes that the mapping of floods through local or indigenous language can be instrumental. Researcher at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Garikai Membele, unpacks this with us now. Dr. Membele, good afternoon. I've had a quick read of the article, the opinion piece, where you and your colleagues are talking about the importance of using local knowledge to add value in mapping flood risk in South Africa's informal settlement. And just a short while ago, I was live to my colleague Dasen Tatia next to one such informal settlement in Reservoir Hills, which has been badly affected by these floods. What's the main point you are saying local knowledge can contribute in managing flood risk?
Thank you very much, and it's glad to be here, and a special welcome to our viewers. So the main point here is that local and indigenous knowledge provides or gives us an opportunity for us to have an in-depth understanding of the flood problem in most of these areas. You may wish to know that floods in Durban are not new, but perhaps what has changed is that we have changed the environment to a large extent by, the way we're using the land, by paving it, increased population densities, and also allowing people to settle in these low-lying areas. So this is what is happening. So our argument is that we need to engage the people because they have experience and knowledge which can be brought on board to be able to map these areas that are vulnerable to floods. And by so doing, we'll be able to know those that seriously need the help that can be rendered so that these people can be rescued, so that these people can be capacitated to be able to improve their adaptive capacity and things like that. So this is the main point that we are bringing on the table.
So basically saying local planning authorities need to take into account that very locally based knowledge and experience, especially because we have seen a rapid urbanization in South Africa and other parts of the continent.
Correct. So you see, most of these informal settlements living on their own. There's very limited intervention from the planning authorities. So by them engaging the communities through their local knowledge, you will find that people will come on board to bring in the experience and knowledge of floods in those particular areas, which is very critical in the planning process. And by so doing, you are actually bringing on board these people that have been experiencing these floods for a long time to be able to sit with the planners, the experts, to be able to find the solution in that particular area.
So in your view, what are the kind of benefits for such a bottom-up approach where you involve locals in terms of coming up with flood disaster management?
Yes, I think the benefits are immense. And these include the aspect of participation. You know that if people are involved in finding a solution, they tend to own the process and they tend to find better solutions that suit for them. There's also the aspect of it being, context specific. Environments are different. And so when you're using local knowledge or indigenous knowledge, you'll find that issues that are ideal for a particular place come up. There's also the aspect of, people knowing exactly what goes on in that particular area. They know the environment, they know the economic situation of the people. So all these aspects come out when indigenous knowledge or local knowledge is involved.
So finally, Doctor, what then could be the next steps? What would you think as a researcher would be the next steps in assisting or in accessing that local knowledge to reduce flood risk?
Yes. So, of course, now it's a pity that a lot of people have died, a lot of houses have been affected, have been washed away. But going forward, there's need for the local authority to take interest in informal settlements. You know that most of the people in most of these sub-Saharan Africa are actually living in informal settlements. For example, in Durban alone, over 5 million people live in informal settlements. So therefore, if people are affected or people living in informal settlements are affected, almost everyone in the city will feel the impact or will be affected in one way or the other. For example, some resources that could have been channeled in health provision or service provision will end up being channeled to flood victims and rescue operations. So we need to take an interest. So the planning authority has to sit with the people to be able to say, these are the challenges. What are the issues that are making you vulnerable? Because the truth of the matter is that floods are here with us, especially that, we have climate change. And experts have indicated that floods are going to increase both in intensity and in frequency. So what we need to do is to improve the coping capacity of the local people. And the one way of improving the coping capacity or adaptive capacity of the local people is to engage them, to sit down with them and to say, what are the issues that are making you vulnerable? And once they bring out these issues, then the experts can come in to find the solution.
Thank you very much, Dr. Membele. He's a researcher at the University of KwaZulu-Natal.